Welcome into another edition of That's Deep. I'm Tommy Z, joined as always by Johnny Bravo. Coming off a pretty good pay-per-view last week, a lot of finishes as expected. Did pretty well on my bets overall. I hit max at the end of the night, which was nice. But yeah, looking forward to another good one. We've got an early start, 12 Eastern, 9, I guess, West Coast time. And yeah, we got good 12-fight card here. Robert Whittaker's back and taking on DeRitter, which is going to be a very interesting one. I'm actually curious to see your thoughts on that one, Johnny. But how you doing? How'd you do last week? And how you feeling about this card?
Well, I mean, the first 7 fights were pretty good. I mean, they all finished, and then the last 7 were pretty horrible, except the main event. Kevin Holland just forgot how to fight, just terrible look.
Disgusting.
You know, and Ige got schooled by a 40-year-old pit bull, and
yeah, that was a tough look.
Yeah, and then Zellhuber. I mean,
yeah.
Talking about a freaking terrible performance. I mean, he threw no strikes and spammed fucking kicks. So
yeah, the kid's just got no second gear. It's like he gets into one gear, and if it's going well, it's going well. If he's got to turn it up a notch, he just doesn't. He's just kind of who he is, apparently. But
yeah, so yeah, main card was not the greatest, but the prelims were pretty good, and we got an interesting one here to get into. So
yeah, it should be a good one. I'm not super high on a lot of dogs on this card, which is a little disappointing, but we'll pick through here and find the best parlay pieces and hopefully get something good out of it. But let's jump right into it here. Our first fight on the card, and I just clicked on the wrong thing, is in the heavyweight division. We've got a jiu-jitsu ace showing up to make his UFC debut. Marcus Buchecha taking on Martin Buday. Anybody who knows jiu-jitsu knows Buchecha, very, very popular in the jiu-jitsu world, one of the greatest to ever do it. He's had 5 or 6 fights in MMA. He's looked pretty good. Obviously, the jiu-jitsu is the bread and butter. Taking on Buday, who's a big plotting guy, likes to fight in the clinch. So far has not been taken down in the UFC, but not a lot of people have tried. So we'll see if Buchecha can get him down. But what are your thoughts here, Johnny?
Yeah, this is an interesting debut here. Buchecha coming in here from 1, like you said, credentialed BJJ, black belt, fucking legend. Yeah, and watching his MMA fights, I watched him in 1 a little bit. The striking on the feet is a little bit left to be desired. He does have power, but I mean the technique is not all that great, which is pretty much expected if you're a jiu-jitsu guy coming in here. But yeah, he's gonna try to get the fight to the ground and implement his game. He's got good ground and pound. The submissions are excellent, on point. Dude is absolutely jacked, like jacked. And it impressed me in the Rugruk fight in 1 championship. He against the heavy hitter. He took some pretty big shots there and was able to survive. And the gas tank didn't look the greatest, but he seemed to kind of just push through it and keep fighting. So I mean, yeah, the guy seems like a warrior. I mean, the striking would definitely be a part of his game to exploit, but if he gets his fight to the ground, yeah, Buday's in a lot of trouble here. And we know what we get from Buday. We've seen quite a few fights from him in the UFC. Big, sloppy guy. He used to be a video gamer, so now he turned to MMA. So yeah, big sloppy guy. He's gonna want to push you up against the cage and and try to control the center of the octagon. Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. I mean, if Buchecha gets it down to the ground, I think he can pretty much do whatever he wants. I think the sub is probably a good look, but my worry is he just gets in a dominant position and and rain down like big bombs.
Yeah.
So I don't know, if you want to be safe, it's probably inside the distance, because I've seen him. We've seen him do that multiple times where he just gets like in the full mount. The guy turns over and he's just landing a big ground and pound. So yeah, it's probably a sub, but I think it's safer to go inside the distance. But yeah, I think Whittaker comes in here and should be able to get the job done.
Yeah, I was looking sub too. Not the greatest price on the sub. I looked at DK a little while ago. It was minus 105, which is pretty crazy for a prop like that. Which
minus
makes
120,
sense, but
minus 120, but his inside the distance is minus 140.
yeah, that's what I was. The minus 140 was the inside the distance I had at minus 142. So I actually didn't mind that for the reason you're saying. I mean, it's very easy for him to get in dominant position and then just start raining down blows, especially if he goes for a couple subs and they don't get there. Sometimes it's just easier to just throw punches and end it. So yeah, I like Whittaker here. I think he probably gets the finish. I don't think Boudet is very good. And I think the level on the ground is going to be worlds apart. So once it's on the ground, I feel like it's going to be over pretty quickly. So yeah, give me Whittaker here inside the distance, and we move on.
Yep.
Our next fight is in the featherweight division. We've got Muhammad Yahya taking on Stephen Wynn. Yahya, he's got some decent striking, I suppose, but he is there to be hit. Has not looked great in his UFC run to this point. Stephen Wynn, we saw him on the Contender Series. He's got some good striking. He seems to be pretty composed. Had a rough outing his last outing. He was just a step behind. But, he hung in there and did his thing. Pretty sizable favorite here. Also because Yahya just hasn't really shown us anything. But what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this one is this is a tough one to get to, because I mean, Muhammad Yahya is not UFC level. He's pretty much here just because he's he's fighting out of UAE, so he's pretty much a hometown guy, and they need at least one hometown guy on the card. He's not very good. I mean, the striking, I guess, is okay, and he probably has power in his hands. I mean, he hasn't really shown it at the UFC level. But yeah, I just don't think he's UFC caliber. I don't think he's very good. But the same can be said about Wynn. I don't think Stephen Wynn is very good either. I mean, he got absolutely destroyed by Jarno Aarons, who isn't even in the UFC anymore. I don't think so. That was a terrible look. This guy, he had, I think it was like two or three Contender Series fights just to get a contract. So yeah, I don't think this guy is very good, but this matchup is probably a layup for him. It's like Yahya just is not very good, but the question is, can Wynn? I mean, Wynn's striking looked okay. Can he find the button on Yahya? I don't know. This is probably just a pass altogether for me. I don't like this fight, so it's probably Wynn. But I mean, at minus 400, it's hard to get to anything here, except maybe if you play some kind of a prop like a KO 2-3 or something, or But
yeah, that's where I'm at too. I think Wynn gets it done. But yeah, not overly excited about him, especially not at that price. And on a fighter that I'm not really sold on, I don't really want to go chasing props. I think Yahya is there to be hit. We saw him get knocked out in his last fight, so obviously it can happen. But yeah, this fight's probably going to be a pass for me as well. Win to win, but yeah, that's it. All right, we move right along here. Our next fight is in the light heavyweight division. There we go. We've got Ibu Aslan taking on Billy Alicana. Alicana, another guy who, maybe just another warm body here. Aslan, a guy, I'm not super high on him, but he does have pretty good power. He does fade a little bit, but, he tends to carry his power late into the fight despite being tired. Another sizable favorite here in Aslan. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, another guy I'm not really a big fan of in Ibu Aslan. I mean, he's pretty much a one-dimensional guy. He's going to want to strike. He's going to want to kickbox. I mean, the kickboxing is decent. Cardio is not very good. I mean, like you said, he does have power, so he can always land that shot. But yeah, I'm just not a big fan of this guy. He can be wrestled, like we've seen. I mean, Kudalaba was able to sub him, and in the Crowley fight, he was able to control him as well. So I think Evo can be grappled. So yeah, I mean, if it's on the feet, it's probably Evo, and he has power. He can definitely find that kill shot. But I don't know how good Elikana is. If you judge him, I mean, the tape on him, he seemed like a pretty well-rounded guy in the tape before. But then you've seen him in the Guskov fight, and it was. I mean, his cardio fell off a cliff in round 2, but round 1 he did decent. He was able to get the back of Guskov and pretty much control the whole first round, and then just completely death gassed and quit. So yeah, you would think he would come in here. He's having a full camp. You would think he'd come in here. The cardio might be a little bit better. If he can get takedowns here, I think Evo can be in some trouble here. So I don't know. The Elikana sub is something that kind of interested me. It's $8.50. I don't mind maybe a sprinkle on that. I just don't trust this Evo guy. I don't think he's very good. I just don't know how good Elikana is. I could see something crazy here. I mean, if Elikana takes him down in the first round, then I think he could be in trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm going to lean Elikana here. I don't like Evo Aslan. I'm not an Evo guy. I don't mind the dog shot here with Elikana, and maybe take a sprinkle on sub. I mean, he had Guskov's back, and he had Guskov in some pretty dangerous situations, and he was able to escape. Now, in Evo, I mean, Kudalaba subbing you, then I think Elikana could be liable to grab a sub. So, yeah, it's probably dog or pass for me in this one.
Yeah. Another one that I'm not super high on. I do have Evo winning. I do think he can find the button and get him out of there. But yeah, it's tough to really trust him. And really, we don't really know a lot about either one of these guys. We've seen them in the UFC, but we've seen a lot of good. We've seen a little good and a lot of bad for the most part with both of them. But yeah, I feel like Evo probably gets him and catches him with something big. But yeah, I don't mind the shot on the sub. It's definitely live again. This is two guys that I don't think are very good. I haven't really seen enough from Alicana to take the dog shot here. But again, this is a fight that I'm probably not going to be too involved with, and just kind of move along up the card for me. All right, our next fight is a much more interesting, much more competitive. We've got Amanda Ribas taking on Tabitha Ricci in the women's strawweight division. Two pretty solid strikers, both go to decision quite often. Ribas, her chin can be kind of questionable, but Ricci doesn't really pack a huge punch. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I'm a big Baby Shark fan. But yeah, she let me down in her last fight, in the Yan Janan fight. I mean, she just didn't throw any punches. She didn't go for takedowns. She's kind of seemed to have fell in love with their hands when her first thing is grappling and in the jiu-jitsu, and she's fell in love with their hands, and that's what usually happens. If you fall in love with your hands, you forget about another aspect of your game. And it was a really bad look in the Yan Janan fight. She just looked she didn't look good at all. She got pretty much dominated. But yeah, Jen Allen's a good fighter, but I thought she would be able to keep it competitive and maybe edge out a win, But, and again, all the other fights before that, they're all like close, super close, decisions. The Tisha fight was super close. And, I'm forgetting the other fight. But yeah, all these fights were pretty close. Yeah. Oh, the fucking Angie Hill. Yeah. That fight was close. Yeah. So yeah, all of her fights are pretty much close. They're all pretty much split decisions, and that's kind of how she's fighting. Could she come in here and make some improvements? I guess. Her boyfriend's Callum Walsh, so she should be in the gym working on that boxing. You would think so. Yeah, and then Ribas, we know pretty much what we're getting out of her. UFC vet. She's pretty well rounded. Like you said, her chin is questionable, but Ricci doesn't have the power to hurt her. So, yeah, I mean, these girls are like pretty much similar to each other. Pretty much both of them are pretty well rounded. So, yeah. I'm gonna think Ribas here gets the job done and just has that little bit better experience with competition and just has a little bit, just edges it out and probably wins a 29-28 or a split decision. So, yeah, it's Ribas for me.
Yeah, that's how I feel too. Ricci, it is kind of strange. Like you go back and you look at her stats. Early on in her UFC career, you were seeing 4 takedowns, 5 takedowns. Like she was really going for takedowns. Recently, you see 1, 2, maybe. It's just not the same. But I think in this matchup, even if she does go for takedowns, I think Ribas is very good on the ground. So, it's not like Ricci would have a big advantage there if she even does at all. Ribas has some pretty nice subs. She's pretty strong herself. So, she could reverse position. She could control on the ground as well. And I think on the feet, she's going to put up a little bit more volume. She's a little bit bigger, a little bit more size, and might be able to take advantage of that. And yeah, I think it's a real close fight. Definitely, it's kind of a 50-50, but I just have to side with Ribas here. I just think she's just a little bit better in all categories, and she'll find a way to get it done. All right, moving right along here. Got another pretty interesting one here in the bantamweight division. We've got Davey Grant taking on Devon Blackshear. Davey Grant, a guy that's kind of, he's getting up there in age, but he seems to be rolling right along, defying the odds a little bit. Bantamweight, not a division you really generally want to be getting up towards that 40 mark, but, he's still trucking along. And Blackshear, very skilled, extremely dangerous on the ground, very fast. For the most part, he's looked pretty good. He's on a decent little run. Obviously, a few fights ago, we saw him get, basically one punch KO'd that kind of put a stop to a little bit of his momentum. But since then, he's looked pretty solid. Davey Grant, Junkyard Dog, kind of another new up-and-comer here for him to try to push back. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Blackshear, this is an interesting one. Blackshear's an interesting guy. He's another guy, kind of like Ricci, that, the Alatang Haley fight in his last fight, we were on him by sub, and he didn't even grapple in that fight. He kind of fell in love with his hands. And, even in the fight before that with fucking old boy, he got taken down in reverse position and got the sub. So it's like he's not shooting takedowns when he should be fighting to his strengths. Like, his strength is get the takedown, get on top, work your jiu-jitsu. That's what you do, We've seen him already try to play on the feet with Montel Jackson and get absolutely just headed, with one punch, So, yeah, I like Blackshear. I think he's a good fighter. I would like him to use his jiu-jitsu a little bit more, but, yeah, I think he's pretty solid, It's just I want to see him use that grappling and that jiu-jitsu. If he falls in love with his hands, I've got some questions about his chin. That's one of the concerns with him, And Davey Grant, like you said, one of these old junkyard dogs. I mean, he's got good striking. He's well-rounded. He's pretty much good everywhere. He can be taken down. So, I mean, if Blackshear implements the wrestling here, then, I mean, I think he could definitely have some success. But if it's on the feet, I mean, Davey Grant can crack. Davey Grant's a good striker. I mean, I think it's pretty competitive and close on the feet. Yeah, I just can't trust Blackshear to grapple. Like the last fight just really left a sour taste, like that when he should have been grappling in that fight, and he just points his way to a decision. And Davey Grant, like you said, he's getting up there in age. He's getting older. This might, you never know, but he's typically pretty durable. He can be subbed, though. That's one thing. If Blackshear uses his grappling, I think he has an easy path. But I don't trust him to do it. Like, I don't know. All my confidence in Blackshear is pretty much gone. Yeah, I don't mind the dog shot here with Grant. I think Grant can crack him on the feet. And, yeah, I have real questions about Blackshear's chin. So I think Grant can crack him. Grant, I mean, the Daniel Marcos fight, he probably got robbed in that fight. It was a close fight. He stood in there on the feet and was, picking Marcos apart. And then there's a couple other fights that are slipping off the top of my head. But, yeah, I mean, the guy can crack. He's a good striker. If Blackshear falls in love with his hands, I could definitely see this being close. So, yeah, I'm going to take the dog shot here with Davey Grant.
Yeah, I've gone back and forth all week because, I keep wanting to fade Davey Grant just for the age. And so far, obviously he's lost some, but he tends to – the age doesn't really tend to show up yet. But as time keeps ticking, you feel like at some point the fall off is coming. I like Blackshear. And basically, kind of with the hopes that he does grapple. I think Grant obviously can be had on the ground. And Blackshear is really good on the ground. I mean, when he's on the ground and going for it, he's got some dangerous submissions. So, yeah, I'm going to go with youth here again and, see if it bites me in the ass. But I'll take Blackshear here. I just hope that, he grapples, and that's really all I can say about it. All right, we move right along here to the welterweight division. We've got Muslim Salikov taking on Carlos Leal. Salikov, good striker. He's got, he throws dangerous spinning attacks. He's pretty low volume, though. He kind of looks for that perfect opportunity. But when he finds it, and it looks good. Leal, on the other hand, is just kind of a bruiser. He goes forward. He likes to push guys up against the cage, beat them up on the cage. Tough as nails. And, some maybe questionable supplements with him. But, he's looked good. He's looked strong since coming over to the UFC. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, Muslim Salikov, I mean, I thought this guy was pretty much fucking done. But, he proved me wrong in his last couple of fights. He's on a, we know what we're going to get with him. He's a Russian with Salikov, with the OV, but he doesn't wrestle. This guy's a pure striker. He's got a lot of, he's got good head kicks. I mean, he's a decent striker, but he's 41 years old. He's up there in age, it's time catches up to you. But, he's proved me wrong before, and he got that win over Ponzinibbio, and then who's the dude he knocked out? He knocked someone out.
Song.
Yeah.
Song.
Yeah, yep, knocked Kong Song. Yep. I was on Song Kanan there. And, he proved me wrong there. So, I mean, I just don't think I think he's just old. He's surprised, but I mean, the guy is 41 years old. He looks old in there. I mean, he does not look slow. The striking is just, he just doesn't look, he looks slow and old in there. But somehow he's been pulling out some of these results. And, Carlos Leal, came in with came in from PFL, had a great performance against old boy, the wrestler,
Rock Mountain. No, what the hell's his name?
Oh man, I'm
God,
terrible with names, dude.
That's so annoying.
Yeah, no, the Russian dude, the grappler, he got fraud checked and gassed. Fucking.
God, I can't.
Renat Fakhrinina.
Yeah,
Renat Fakhrinina.
That's
Yeah, he made his debut there. You know, I mean, somehow Renat won that fight. I thought I had money on Renat, and I thought I was cooked, and somehow he was able to pull that off. And then, the second fight, he gets Alex Morono and just completely walks right through him and destroys him. Yeah, like you said, he's gonna, this guy's a good striker, forward movement, gonna want to put you up on the cage and beat you up, kind of like what he did with Morono. He got him up on that cage, landed some nasty body shots, some nasty head shots, and was able to put him out. Yeah, I just think he's just gonna walk through Munson Salikov, but who knows? But yeah, I think he definitely knocks him out here and puts him away. So. Yeah. It's Leal knockout for me.
Yeah, I like Leal here. I think he just pushes a high enough pace. And I mean, that Morono fight, I can't remember. I want to say he landed like 70-something strikes in that first round.
Yeah, I think it was something like that, something crazy.
Crazy volume. The guy, we've seen him, he can go 3 rounds strong. He just pushes a pace, and he's tough to get out of there. And, yeah, I like him. I think he wins this fight, and we could see him land a knockout. It wouldn't be the first time we've seen Salikov get cracked. So yeah, knockouts live for sure. But yeah, I like Leal here. Just pace everything. I guess has to worry about that one big shot coming back, but for the most part, he's shown to be pretty durable. And if you're pushing somebody against the cage and backing them up, it's kind of hard to land those wheel kicks and spinning back fists. So, yeah, I like Leal here. All right, our next fight is another good one, another very interesting one here. We got Bryce Mitchell moving down to the bantamweight division to take on Said Nurmagomedov. Bryce is a guy, when you look at recent results, you kind of just, you think he's cooked. But then when you look at the guys he's fighting, it's just like, it's kind of a murderer's row. He fought Topuria. Topuria got him out of there. Then Josh Emmett, nuked him with a right hand from hell or with left hand, whatever it was. And then Jane Silva, 3 extremely dangerous guys. And now he's moving down to bantamweight. He's going to have, he's not the biggest featherweight in the world, but he is going to have some decent size at bantamweight. So it'll be interesting to see the weight cut. And, Nurmagomedov, very good striker, long, rangy. He's got very good chokes, which can be interesting because we know Bryce Mitchell likes to wrestle. I'm curious to see what Bryce looks like on the scales here, but what are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, curious to see how Bryce looks on the scales here, dropping down. He's been on a rough little run here, coming down. But like you said, it's to the who's who in the division. Topuria, Emmett, and Silva. He didn't really look good in any of those fights. Josh Emmett fight, just he got nuked there, and then the Topuria, can't blame him there. John Silva, It's like, I don't know. Bryce Mitchell is a tricky guy. He's an interesting character. You've seen his interviews, his media today, or was it yesterday? He was saying some pretty wild shit, like pretty crazy stuff. So you know what this guy's going to get. He has no filter. He says what's on his mind, which is pretty much brain dead. What does he bring? He's got that good wrestling. Striking is a little bit left to be desired. It's not the greatest, but he can strike. But his game is going to want to be able to get the wrestling going, get the takedowns, get top control. And yeah, he worked his ground game. You know, can he do that here, dropping down? I mean, he's going to have a size advantage. You know, so it's going to be interesting how he translates down here to the lower weight class. You know, and you know we got this guy Nurmagomedov, who's not your traditional Nurmagomedov. He's not part of the bloodline. So yeah, he's not a guy he's not really one of these grappler guys. He's more of he's a striker Nurmagomedov, which is interesting. Pretty good striking. Shit cardio will just fall off a complete cliff, kind of like what he did in his last fight. Can't really blame him. I mean, Oliveira is pretty solid as we've seen, so can't really blame him there. But it was just bad optics where you just completely death gas after like 6 minutes. But yeah, he's really crafty, real tricky striker. Like you said, he's got those Darce chokes and the guillotines. So yeah, that would be my worry here. Bryce panic shooting takedowns, and then this guy, if you're shooting your neck down there with this guy, he's gonna grab something real quick. You know, kind of like, I mean, John Silva was able to do it. You know, so this is a real tough one for me. I don't know. I've been on the fence all week. It's tough because can Nurmagomedov keep it on the feet, and what is his gas tank going to look like, and how is a weight cut going to affect Mitchell? It's a real tough one to call for me. I've been going back and forth on this one all week. Earlier in the week, I liked Bryce, and then later on in the week, I'm starting to kind of lean towards Nurmagomedov. I can definitely see him getting that Darce choke. I mean, the sub is plus 375 on Nurmagomedov. I mean, you know, that's not bad, but I don't know. I'm going to take the dog shot here with Nurmagomedov and just hope he bounces back here and has something in the tank. I don't know. I don't love it though. I'm flip-flopping back and forth on this one. I'm undecided, but I'm leaning Nurmagomedov. I could be on Bryce. I need to see him on the scales.
Yeah. I mean, I can honestly see myself switching the other way too. I like Bryce as we speak right now. I do think if he makes the weight, you know, and he looks okay, I think he's going to look good in there. I think he's going to look bigger. You know, Nurmagomedov's normally used to being bigger than his opponents, and you know, Bryce is going to have a couple inches on him in the height department. I think they've got the same reach, and you know, when you talk about Bryce, like, we don't look at his striking as great, but you know, against Gene Silva, he was basically strike for strike for him. With him, you know, until he got hurt and then, you know, dropped and ended up getting submitted there. But even in the Topuria fight, you know, Mitchell put up some decent volume. It didn't look like he was getting completely outclassed in that one until, again, you know, he got hurt, he got dropped, and then he ended up getting submitted. So Bryce does have some striking. You know, we saw him. Who was it? Was it Barboza? Yeah, Barboza. He dropped Barboza, who's a very good striker. Ended up winning that fight, which was a bit of a surprise to me. You know, so when Bryce is on his game, I mean, he's really good. His wrestling's strong. We have seen Nurmagomedov get taken down, you know, kind of ragdolled by a couple guys. Vinicius Oliveira took him down 3 times. And, you know, so it's not like...
Yeah, but he was gassed, though. He was gassed.
Yeah, but that's the thing. I mean, if he's tired at all, I mean, Bryce is just going to ragdoll him. I don't even think it's a question at that point. So, I mean, all said and done, I think if Bryce is healthy at this weight class, I do think he's the better fighter. Obviously, the risk of the choke is there. You know, you're wrestling and you're putting yourself at risk there on the ground. But he's also a strong wrestler, generally speaking. You know, if he's not rocked and hurt, he's going to be able to defend chokes pretty well. That's kind of just how wrestlers are. So, yeah, I just think Bryce is the bigger, stronger guy in this matchup. And if he's healthy, I think he wins. You know, Nurmagomedov definitely scares me. He definitely has very good striking. He's a sharp striker. Can land something down the middle, could hurt Bryce, and, you know, could snatch up a sub there. And, of course, you know, if Bryce shoots it sloppy, it's also live. So there's definitely a lot of risk here. Obviously, I want to see what they look like on the scales. But I feel like if Bryce looks okay, doesn't look like he killed himself to make the weight, I'll be taking the shot on Bryce here.
Well, by decision.
I'm thinking overs. Generally speaking, he's he gets on top and he does some work, but a lot of times he doesn't end up going to a decision. So, I'm thinking at least over 1.5. But I think it definitely gets later into the fight.
It's not that the over 1.5 ain't too different from the money line.
Yeah. So we'll see. I mean, once I see them on the scales, I'll know better on how I feel about the fight. But yeah, the pick is Bryce for me. I think he gets it done, and I think he could have a decent run at this weight class.
I guess he's the only one that can beat Merab. So,
he's got an interesting He's got an interesting game for Merab, that's for sure.
No, Merab would fucking ragdoll him.
All right, our next fight is in the light heavyweight division. We got Nikita Krylov taking on Bogdan Guskov. We talked a little about Guskov earlier. He's another guy that, he's got some power. Definitely feels like he's got some holes in his game. Taking on Krylov, who's coming off a knockout loss after he took 2 years off. So not the greatest of looks, but he is extremely dangerous. He's fought a lot of the best guys in the division. I think he's got 16 submission wins in his career, which that's a pretty nice number. But yeah, I feel like there's risk both ways with these guys. Guskov definitely got the power. Krylov's been cracked in the past. Guskov's been cracked in the past as well. Has been submitted. So what do you think here?
Yeah, I don't think I've got one Guskov fight right. Not one. I think I had knockout in the Elikana fight, and Elikana pretty much gave up his neck and quit. And then I was on fucking Bozo Ryan Spann, and he fucking nuked him. And then in his debut, he nuked somebody. So yeah, I'm not. I don't know. I mean, I can't pick this guy's fights. I don't know. I mean, the guy. I mean, I don't think he's very good, but I mean, he's getting results, and he does have power in his hands. He can crack. I mean, but I don't know. It's just I wasn't high on him, so I don't know. It's interesting. It's an interesting matchup here with Krylov. Krylov, all gas, no brake. You know what this guy does? He goes in there. He's going to throw it all on the line. He's going to try to finish you. And yeah, like you said, in his last fight, Dominic Reyes absolutely sent him to the shadow realm, which was pretty crazy. He had a 2-year layoff. I don't know if he was fighting in the Ukraine and the war or what was going on there. Fishy shit. But yeah, he's a dangerous guy, and he's going to go in there and try to finish you. Yeah, I see him. If he gets a takedown, I could see him easily here getting a sub. But like you said, there's risk I could see this fight going multiple ways. I could see Guskov absolutely planning them and putting them away, or I could see Krylov just ragdolling them and walking right through them. I can't pick a fucking Guskov fight if my life depended on it. So I guess it's Krylov for me. Probably Krylov by sub, but I don't know. This is a tricky one.
I mean, that's the way I'm looking at it. I do think Krylov definitely has the advantage there. I just, he's fought a lot of really good guys in this division. He has, mixed results, but he's got some nice wins, and the sub game is legit. I'm not. I don't know. I don't think Guskov is very good. I think he needs to land a big shot and probably land it early. So I'll take Krylov. I just think I just think he's got the overall better game, and he's got the better resume, and I think the sub is extremely live here. So that's the way I'm approaching it.
There's definitely levels in competition to these guys have fought. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think if Krylov shows up, he could walk through this dude.
Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. Ideally, it's a sub because I'm probably going to bet the sub. So
Yeah,
that's kind of.
I've seen this right here that I don't mind. Krylov by sub or Gustav by knockout.
Oh, that's not bad. What's that?
It's minus 135, but I mean, you're pretty much getting both fighters win equity.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
You know,
I don't mind it. It's a
yeah.
good look. But yeah, I mean that's kind of how I feel like it's going to play out. It's either going to
it's either Krylov sub or Krylov gets planted.
Yeah. All right. We'll move right along here. And we got this is a pretty interesting one. We've got a flyweight bout. Asu Almabayev taking on Jose Ochoa. Almabayev, very strong wrestler. But again, he's another guy, low volume, doesn't really do a lot with the positions. He's a guy I was super high on when he came into the UFC just for the wrestling and grappling ability. But I don't know where his ceiling is because I just feel like he's got to do more in there. And, Jose Ochoa, he's going to give him an opportunity to do more because Ochoa is another one of those guys who's, he's going to fight. He's going to, if he gets taken down, he's going to scramble up. And when he's on the feet, he's throwing. So you can't really be too passive against Ochoa unless you're just, pinning him to the mat and just holding on for dear life. So I do think this will be a pretty fun scrap because, Ochoa is just he's gonna make it a fight. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, Asu is. I was high on him too, and the Cop fight was. I mean, it's Manel Cop, but I mean, he wasn't really throwing any volume in that fight. Like you said, I think he's pretty much a one-dimensional kind of guy. Really good grappling, really good wrestler. But the striking needs a lot of work. He's low volume, and I don't really blame that Cop fight too much on him. I mean, he pretty much got eye poked and then ran away and got knocked out. So, I mean, you can't really hold that too much against him, But, that was also a short notice step up, main event, big spot for the kid. And, he just didn't really show up there, and I was high on him, the grappling aspect, but you face a guy that against a guy that can pretty much stuff takedowns and keep it on the feet, he's pretty much, I don't want to say he's pretty much cooked, but I mean, that's not where he wants the fight to be. And I really like this Ochoa kid. This kid really impressed me. I like what I see, really good striking, power in his hands. He's pretty much a good, well-rounded guy. He's a prospect to really keep an eye out for. He can really make some noise here in this division. In that last fight, Cody Durden, I mean, the guy just absolutely just nuked Durden like that, which is pretty crazy. In his hometown, he just planted him. This kid is real talented. I like his striking. I like the power he has in his hands. He's got some game-changing skills, man. And I think anytime this is on the feet, I think Almabayev could be in trouble, big trouble. I'm gonna go with Ochoa here to be able to kind of scramble and stuff some takedowns, and even if Almabayev is getting takedowns, he's getting back up and he's letting. And if Almabayev's not doing anything with the takedowns, they're gonna score damage on the feet more to Ochoa if he's getting taken down but popping back up, spinning out, getting the underhooks, digging out, landing punches. They're gonna count that more than the takedowns. So I'm gonna go with Ochoa here. This guy, the up and coming prospect. I think I'm high on this kid. So I think he gets the job done. But super close fight.
Yeah, I agree. I think the volume and the action. I think he's just going to look more busy. He's going to push the pace, and I think he'll probably do some pretty decent damage on the feet. I mean, I think he is the better striker. I mean, Almabayev, he's a good fighter. He's, his striking's not terrible. He's got some striking, but he just doesn't put up volume. Yeah, I like the scrappier guy. I think, the guy who's just going to kind of push a higher pace. It is a close fight. Obviously, if Almabayev gets those takedowns going and he has success holding him down, that could be a problem. And you never know how these judges are going to see it. But, yeah, I like the guy who's just got a little bit more pace, who's probably going to do a little bit more damage. And, yeah, Ochoa for me as well.
I think the guy who wins this fight probably dominate the fight. You know what I mean? I think it's either Asu is getting takedowns and is able to control them and hold them down, or I think Ochoa can fucking plant him.
Yeah, I can see it.
I like Ochoa here.
Yeah, I like him a lot. All right, our next fight is in the middleweight division. We got Shara Bullet returning, taking on Marc-Andre Barrial, who at one point was, a guy who's going to come forward and walk through punches, but as of recent, that chin's, starting to get cracked a little bit. So, Shara Bullet here, massive favorite. I think the expectation is that he probably finds that chin. But what are your thoughts? You think Barrial can turn back the clock and push that pace?
Power bar. Marc-Andre Barrial, power bar. I used to be high on this guy. I like this guy. He's kind of one of these cardio guys that's just going to push forward and throw volume, and he's not trying to wrestle. He's going in there to strike. Grappling is pretty much off the table. So this is going to be, they're giving Shara another striker. And power bar. He's going to walk forward and pretty much try to push a pace on you and try to land his volume. And I mean, we've seen him. I mean, Bruno Silva. I mean, he bounced back in the Bruno Silva, but it's Bruno Silva.
Yeah,
it's kind of hard to count that as a bounce back. He's absolute. He's dust, like you said, and he put a fucking hole in his skull. If you've seen that, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. I think the chin is gone, and I don't know, but I mean, I'm not very high on Shara Bullet either. I mean, faded him in his last fight with MVP. All of his fights seem to be pretty close. I mean, before he hit that crazy double spinning back fist on Petrosian. I mean, the fight was going pretty close. I mean, it was a real competitive fight. I mean, he's a tricky striker. He throws some, the spinning shit, the flashy shit. It's. I'm not high on him, but I mean, he does have some good striking. But he can be wrestled too. But they're not putting him in there with guys that are going to wrestle him. They're going to put him in with Andre Barrial, who doesn't know what a takedown is. Now, if Barrial was smart, he would freaking take this guy down and just and get the win. But that's Barrial doesn't wrestle, so there's no concern to that. So this is going to be a striking affair, and I don't know. I could see it being close, but eventually Shara lands that crazy head kick knockout, maybe. I'm not high on this Shara guy. He's minus 600. That's not too appealing to me. I don't really like that number. I guess maybe you take a shot on the Shara knockout. What is that? Yeah, it's minus 150. I mean, maybe the 2-3 KO or something like that. But I could see Barrial getting absolutely chinned in round one. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's going to be Shara, but I don't like this guy a lot. I don't really care for him, and I'll be looking to fade him if they put him up against another MVP type kind of guy.
Yep, give him Wonder Boy.
Yeah, I'll be on Wonder Boy. Yeah.
I like Shara here because I do think he probably catches him. I mean, Barrial used to be a guy who just walked through punches and, eventually just ends up landing 175 of his own strikes and taking guys out late. But you know, it looks like that's starting to take a toll on him, and I think Shara could definitely crack that chin. So yeah, I mean, I got to be on Chara here, I think, but I don't know. Like you said, he is not really impressed in really any of his fights. He's had some cool knockouts.
The guy's got one eye.
Yeah, and that's part of the
You
problem
can't.
too.
You can't see punches coming.
Right. Yeah, his range is kind of thrown off there, but he's made it work, and he's looked really good. Obviously, the MVP fight is tough for a guy with one eye because you're taking out a guy that's a pretty high level striker that throws from all different angles, and that was pretty favorable for MVP there. Burial kind of he's going to be in his face, and he's going to be a little bit easier to find. But yeah, I mean, give me Shara KO. But yeah, not something I'm going to be heavily invested in. And we'll be curious to see. Maybe Barrial just pulls a takedown out of his back pocket. Kind of switches the script up a little bit, but unlikely. But stranger things have happened. But all right, we'll move on to. I believe we're up to the co-main here. Yes, we are. Co-main event. Petr Yan taking on Marcus McGee, bantamweight fight. McGee is a guy that has absolutely looked he's looked like the real deal since joining the UFC. He's an older guy. He started his career late. You think about it, as long as we've known Yan, you'd think Jan's the older guy in this fight, but he's a couple of years younger than McGee, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, we've seen Yan in all the big fights. He's champion, many championship fights, many 5-round fights. McGee, obviously, level of competition hasn't been crazy high. Jonathan Martinez in his last fight was, probably the best guy he's faced. Looked good in that fight, but this is another step up here, big time step up here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I mean, since McGee's looked, really good since coming into the UFC. I mean, well-rounded. He's got good striking. I mean, good power in his hands. Yeah, I think he's a pretty good fighter from what we've seen so far. Well-rounded. I mean, I like the striking. His boxing is really good. Yeah, but is this just maybe a little bit too much of a step up in competition? I mean, like you said, he's relatively unexperienced and started late. So, I mean, you got to get going at some point. I think it's probably either now or never for him in his career. You know what I mean? So, I mean, this is a big step up. This is a big fight for the guy. Biggest fight of his career. So, I mean, he looks good. He's got skills. But we know former champion Petr Yan. We know what we're getting out of him. Elite boxing, good uppercuts, good clinch work, good everywhere, pretty much wrestling, pretty much anywhere he wants to take it. But a lot of times we see with him is he drops that first round. He starts. He's a slow starter. He's a builder. He definitely builds. Song Yadong fight. I thought he was pretty much cooked, and then he just rallied in that second half of the fight and kind of took over. Which was pretty impressive. So I mean, we know what we're getting here. It's like I think Yan is definitely the better fighter, the better MMA fighter, the more experienced. It's just my worry is he always starts slow, man. That's just the thing. It's like you're starting pretty much, down around. Pretty much need to win the last two, or knock the guy out. That's always an uphill battle, and it's tough, because you definitely know McGee's going to come out here. He's going to come out fast. He's going to start fast. He's going to be walking forward. He's going to be throwing volume. It's whether when Yan can get his reads and his timing down, and be able to land, maybe look at, I like Yan to win the fight, but minus 400, maybe a parlay piece, maybe Yan by decision, maybe over 1.5. The numbers are probably going to be shit. Maybe even just wait till after round 1, and then maybe you get Jan at a good number. Maybe McGee has like Jan always does. He drops round 1, and then maybe you can get that Jan maybe minus 200 or minus 180 or 150 or something like that. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like Jan to win the fight, but just don't like his slow starts, man. That's just one thing that always just that I don't like. But yeah, I definitely think he's better. I think he's just I think he wins here. Probably a decision. Probably Jan by decision. But yeah,
that's kind of how I'm looking at it. I do think the fight goes long. McGee seems to be pretty durable. Jan does take his time a little bit. He does start slow. I will say when he does turn it on, he really turns it on. We've seen him put a massive pace on guys late in fights. But yeah, it's I'm actually kind of interested in the McGee plus 3.5. I don't think it was a great number, but I do think it was plus money, and it's not a terrible look. But I do think Jan wins.
It's minus 105.
Yeah, minus 105 now. So yeah, I think it was plus 105 when I saw it originally, which I don't think is a bad look. I do think he's going to be competitive in there. He's looked very good.
He pretty much wins round 1, right? I mean,
yeah.
You would think. I mean, that's how every Yod fight. Yod loses every first round of every fight.
Yeah. So I mean, there it is. Like, obviously, if Jan comes out and just pieces him up in the first round, it's probably going to be Jan just rolling through the rest of the fight. But yeah, I do think it's going to be competitive early, and that's just kind of the way. Yeah, it's just kind of the style of these two guys. McGee's a guy who comes out looking to get the fight over with, and Jan's a guy that kind of downloads a little bit and just takes it in. But who knows? I mean, he's been in a lot of 5-round fights. You can get away with that more in a 5-round fight. But maybe this being a 3-rounder, maybe he starts a little faster. Who knows? But
why I think he drops that first round is he's calculating his reads and trying to get his timing down. That's he's downloading information and then using it later on in the fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he does it well. He does it as good as anybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I got to go with the guy. I got to go with the vet here, the guy that's got the experience. And he is younger, which is he's got Jan. He's been around for so long. He was a champion. And you kind of think like, is he getting older? But he's kind of in his fighting prime right now. I think he's 32 or 33 years old. He's got a couple years, in the tank before he starts getting towards that the older ages.
Yeah, but somebody's going to have to beat Merab. So I mean,
right? Yeah.
So that's the only thing. That's his. I mean, that's what's in his way. I mean, we've seen what Merab did to him already. That's his. That's so.
Yeah.
That's his path to a championship. Somebody beating Merab.
Yeah, Corey Sandhagen. Corey Sandhagen to the rescue for the rest of the division.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's going to be tough. But Merab matches up well against everybody, so it's a tough road. But I like Jan here. I think he gets it done. Just the veteran presence. He's very skilled everywhere. He's got the game. I like McGee a lot, but he hasn't fought the highest level of competition to this point, and obviously this is a massive step up. So, I could see him pulling it out. I mean, he's surprised me a couple times already, but Jan. I feel like Jan gets the job done. Well, we move on to the main event. Another one that I really don't know. Honestly, I can't tell you who I'm picking here yet. I want to say Whittaker because of his past, and I've seen the guy in bounce back spots so many times. But man, DeRitter is a guy I kind of just been disrespecting since he joined the UFC, and I've paid for it all the way along. I feel like I did the same thing with DDP. I kept doubting the guy, kept doubting his cardio, kept doubting his style, and DDP just kept doing his thing. So it's tough for me to pick at the Ritter fight because I think he's good now. But now here he's fighting against Robert Whittaker, who's in my eye, well, I think in everybody's eyes, the best guy he's fought in the UFC. So does Whittaker bounce back here? He had that nasty loss to Chimaev, or does Ritter just keep rolling along here? What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, this is a real interesting main event. I've been high on the Ritter, because I watched him through one. And you knew his skill set, what he brought to the table. He came into UFC, the Mirror Shark fight. He didn't look great, but looked tired. Still was able to get the submission. Still looked good. Completely, just absolutely ragdolled Kevin Holland. Which he can't. It's Kevin Holland, but
I don't even want to hear that name right now.
Yeah, so and then he fraud checked the fucking the future superstar. He went in there and just and was able to he had a big striking advantage on the feet because obviously Bo Nickel cannot strike or throw punches. So yeah, he was able to just be the better MMA fighter there. We know what he's going to want to do. He's going to want to get in close. He's going to want to take the fight to the ground and utilize his world-class BJJ and his grappling. He's not a fish out of water on the feet, but it's a little sloppy on the feet. This is a 5-round fight, so the cardio, I don't really take the cardio into too much. Like, the guy has a massive weight cut, so that could also affect his cardio. This is a 5-round fight. He's a big dude. So, he's talented. He's well-rounded. He's a good fighter. I like the Ritter. And, we got Robert Whittaker coming in here. He got his absolute teeth smashed in by Hamzat, which is not really a good look. Hamzat ragdolled him. We've never seen, before that Hamzat fight, I don't think we've ever seen anybody do that to Bobby Knuckles. You know what I mean? It's pretty tough, to go back and look and try to find the spot where somebody ragdolled him. It's Hamzat. I don't really hold that against him too much. He said his teeth caved in because there was already a problem there. So if you got a guy, if you already have like some fucked up shit and loose shit with your teeth, and you got this guy squeezing with all this fucking might on your, he wasn't under the chin. He's just on your. That's gonna just. Yeah. It's gonna fucking, you know what I mean? So that's probably a concern. He's got the new teeth, the implants. So it's a concern, but I don't really think so. I think he's back. The teeth are back. He's back. So I don't know. If this is on the feet, I definitely see Robert Whittaker I think Whittaker's going to be able to stifle the takedowns and pretty much piece the Ritter up on the feet because Whittaker clearly has the striking advantage on the feet. So, yeah, I think on the feet, I think Whittaker eventually, he wears them down and probably eventually finishes them later in the fight. So, yeah, I like Bobby here. It's a buy low spot, minus 150 against this guy. I got to ride one last time with my guy Bobby Knuckles. I got to roll one last time, one last ride. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll probably join you. Because, because my thought was obviously the Hamzat fight was a bad look, but there's almost nobody in the world that is as dangerous in the first round in the grappling department as Hamzat. That dude comes out, he's strong as hell. He ragdolls pretty much everybody that he gets in there with. Even in the fights that have been competitive, he ragdolled Burns at times. He ragdolled Usman for that first round. He made Usman look silly, which is kind of crazy to think about. I know Usman was coming off the couch, but still kind of wild to think about. So I don't think the Ritter comes in with that kind of tenacity. So I think the first round, a little bit of an easier first round for Whittaker. And I do like his pedigree, and we have seen him in bounce back spots before where he just looks like $1 million. And yeah, I mean, the Ritters look good. I didn't think he looked great in the Meerschaert fight, but he got the job done there. And then, the Kevin Holland fight, can't give him too much credit because we all know what Kevin Holland is. And then the Bo Nickel fight, Bo Nickel may just not be ready for that spot. So obviously,
Yeah, because I mean, that was a tough spot for Bo Nickel to be in. To be honest, this guy's a former one championship. Used to fight a heavyweight, big dude.
Yeah,
tough spot for Bo.
Yeah, so I think it's a good fight, man. I hate. I feel like the Ritter's the guy that's just gonna keep kicking me in the nuts, but I probably am gonna be on Bobby Knuckles with you here, just because I've seen him do it for so long, and I don't think he's done by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's got some fights left in the tank. So yeah, for the purposes of the show, give me Whittaker here, and that's kind of it. Close fight. I don't know how heavily invested I'll be, but it would be nice to see Whittaker get a bounce back here. But yeah, that's it. All 12 fights broken down. Again, the card starts at noon East Coast time, so get your DraftKings stuff ready probably the night before. Get your bets in early. Be ready to roll. And we've got the truck race on Friday night. We've got Xfinity on Saturday. We got Cup on Sunday. So it'll be a busy weekend here at Nuke the House. So if you haven't signed up, get signed up, nukethehouse.com. Get in the Discord. Got a lot of good people in there. And that's pretty much it. Johnny, if you got anything else for us, let us know. Otherwise, we'll get out of here.
No, that's it.
All right. It's good to go. All right. So we will see you guys on Saturday afternoon. As always, good luck this weekend.
Laters.